Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Andrew Hunter, co-founder and economist over at Adzuna. Andrew, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks, Jill. Lovely to be here.
All right. And Andrew, we know a big topic of conversation has been what's happening in the labor market. And we've seen reports of cities like Albuquerque offering signing bonuses to attract workers for essential jobs like police and firefighters. How can cities compete with private organizations to attract talent?
Well, what we're seeing across the Adzuna platform at the moment is an acute labor shortage, and that's for public and private sector organizations and companies. Albuquerque is a great example. There are 1 in 10 government jobs currently left unfilled in Albuquerque, and across all of the US, around 780,000 government jobs up for grabs and unfilled right now. I don't think it's a great strategy for cities to be thinking about competing toe-to-toe with private organizations. If you look at the city of Albuquerque, where Netflix and Amazon have recently set up offices, I'm not sure they can compete dollar for dollar. And these cities need to be thinking about, yes, short-term fixes like signing on bonuses, but also longer-term strategy to attract talent into those jobs.
And Andrew, companies have been offering very high signing bonuses to attract talent. Can you share examples of what those are and what roles they are based on from what you've seen at Adzuna?
Sure. So I've been studying the labor market for 15 years, and I've never seen a hiring market like this, where there's such intense competition for candidates. So yes, we're seeing bonuses being paid within the public sector. So firefighters in Albuquerque, $15,000 signing on bonuses. Now, I think they're worth every penny, but that's a significant change from what we've seen in the past. We've seen in places like Wichita and Kansas, 911 operators being offered $5,000 signing on bonuses. And across Montana, we've seen school bus drivers being offered up to $4,000 for taking a job if they're successful. So this is pretty new. We're used to this sort of behavior from the big FANG tech companies and large wages and big signing on bonuses, but we haven't seen this at this level across the US in our history of operation.
Companies like Walmart, Target, and McDonald's have been beefing up their benefit offerings with childcare and education benefits. What are other popular perks that you've seen?
So I think, this has been such a change over the last 18 months, this new world of work that we're operating in, this flexibility that employees have come to expect. It's almost a given now that employers must offer some level of flexibility. And that even goes for frontline retail like Walmart or food service like McDonald's. Offering staff flexibility to choose their hours and accommodate childcare commitments or second job commitments is becoming increasingly important to the job seeker, and we're seeing that across the Adzuna platform.
Are you hearing about a lot of people switching jobs or industries because of salary or benefits or any other type of offerings?
Yeah, I would, if you could humor me for a moment, Jill, I'd ask you to put yourself in the shoes of a Delta or United Airlines worker living through this pandemic over the last 18 months. Many of them would be sat at home just waiting to go back to work, questioning whether travel has a future and whether they have a job in that industry over the longer term. So we're seeing this behavior of candidates taking a step back and thinking about switching and using tools and technology to help them understand their skills and how they might apply to different industries and different locations around the US. So this behavior is here to stay, I think. I think there are industries like travel that are not going to recover to pre-pandemic levels for another couple of years. And a lot of people working in customer service roles within that industry are shifting into new sectors.
I mean, Andrew, can you blame them? I mean, just look at the demise of how we socially act as human beings. You can't blame them. So I can certainly see why they want to step back from that for a little bit, at least, as we get through the next couple of years. Which industries are struggling most for talent right now, regardless of location?
So we see food service, hospitality, and catering really struggling. I think there are a couple reasons for this. If you think about the demographic of those working in food service, it does skew towards younger generations, many of whom will not have had their second vaccination yet. So there is some anxiety around returning into the workplace because of the COVID risk that is still ever present in our society. Stimulus checks have played a role. and have kept people at home. Those are being wound up over the next couple of months. So we should see a flood of job seekers coming back into the market. And there's really a war for talent that's driving up wages within these sectors, and people are moving out of food service into other industries as well. So we're definitely living through a job seeker favoring market right now. But everything that we see in our Adzuna data shows that, yes, hiring is at an all-time high, and job seekers are slowly but surely coming back to the market. I'm feeling pretty optimistic about Q4 being a bit more of a balanced job marketplace.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see just how competitive it is and if people will eventually struggle to find jobs. And again, as you had mentioned before, this is unprecedented times that we're living through. So there really is no precedent to even try and correlate it to what this looked like prior in history. But we do have data that Adzuna has right now. And you just did a study about the best places to live based on average salaries and cost of living. What should people know about this?
So I think the behavior we saw even before the pandemic began was many people who were working and living in metropolitan areas like San Francisco, Los Angeles, the greater New York area, leaving because of that cost of living, and moving to places like Boise, Idaho, or Denver, Colorado, or Florida. I think the COVID pandemic has almost been a catalyst for this movement, and we're seeing an increasing number of users taking into account the cost of living, primarily how much it costs to rent or buy a house, and the average wages spread across the country. And we're really seeing quite a diversity of places that are people moving to, with the big winner through all of this being Florida, specifically Tampa and Orlando.
All right. Andrew, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.